Hello and welcome to Bible FPL. The start of a new Premier League season is upon us, and I've put together a team of players who's going to try and get as many points as possible while also all having names that correlate with books/ authors in the Bible. So every week I'll review how many points I've got, and I'll also do a little short talk from the Bible in relation to one of the goal times that's inspired a Bible passage. I'll explain more about how that all works in a minute. Some of you are familiar with the series who have subscribed already, and thank you for tuning back in to see some more. I'll get into my sort of Bible FPL team in a minute, but I thought for those of you that are coming to find out some sort of fancy football advice and some tips, I'll initially show you a draft I put together on an account which I'm basically using to prioritize just the best possible team I can week in, week out. The Bible FPL team is still going to be a team that's going to be strong and hopefully is going to do really well. But obviously, my picks need to be dictated a little bit by players' names who correlate with books/authors in the Bible. So I'll show you my starting 11 first of the team I've put together without sort of any stipulations, if you like. So Matt Sells in goal. I just think Forest this season again are probably going to be another solid team. In pre-season, they've got like 5 clean sheets out of their first 6 games. They're just looking like clean sheet animals. And Matt Sells in goal at 5 mil just looks like an absolute bargain as a set and forget goalkeeper option. And then into the back line. So I'm going to play a back three for the first game week. So Milenkovic, he's a set piece monster. He's got goals in the locker, but he's also got DEFCON contributions with the new rules that come in. So I just really love Milenkovic as another bit of a set and forget with both goal threat and DEFCON threat. Now Kukureya's in there. He's one that not many people are picking, but I'm just feeling him. He's been getting in a lot of advanced positions, particularly towards the end of last season and in some of pre-season. Chelsea have a really nice fixture run, as you can see. There's Palace, West Ham, Fulham in the first three, but then beyond that, they've got some nice ones as well. And again, I just think for the attacking returns and the clean sheet potential, he's a really nice one to start with. Now, Ait Nuri is a recent one to have snuck in my team. Partly as a bit of Man City coverage, but also he's just so attacking. And they have a nice fixture run to begin the season with where I think there's goals for City, and it's kind of a way into that City attack. And also with some clean sheet potential where I don't know. I'm feeling a little pumped on Ait Nuri, and he's the only City player I've got. So, like I said, I want some City coverage, and he offers that for me. So we've got Ait Nuri at the back, then into midfield. So as you see, I've got the captain's armband on there. So I haven't got Salah because I just think the team looks so much stronger without Salah or Haaland this year. And Verts, I just have a feeling in his first game against Bournemouth, he's going to do well. He's looked brilliant in pre-season. He's been at the heart of everything Liverpool have been doing attackingly. And I remember in a tournament a couple of years ago, he scored for Germany, like one of the first goals in the tournament as a host nation. And I don't know, it was just one of those where he sort of set the tournament alight. And I just have a feeling he might set the Premier League alight on that Friday night fixture. In the Community Shield yesterday, he was just everywhere. He dictated so much of the game. And as an alternative to Salah to start the season, a little bit of a differential captain, but it also doesn't feel too risky either. I'm just feeling it. It's the first game of the Prem. You'd like to think there'll be goals, some excitement. The captain armband is on Verts. Palmer's in there as just a lovely set and forget for the first few weeks. He's been a lock all pre-season for me. Great fixtures on penalties at the heart of everything Chelsea do. He's in the team. Saka's there largely for the first 2 fixtures. Away to United is a good fixture, then home to Leeds is unreal. I'm strongly thinking of captaining him for that fixture. He's a 90-minute man. He might be on penalties, or at least when Gyökeres is off the pitch, he'll end up getting penalties. I really like Bakary Saka, or is it Bukayo Saka? One or the other. And then we've got Adingra. So some of you might be wondering about Adingra. Um, I just think Sunderland's fixtures, first 5, unreal. As a Brighton fan, I like Adingra. He's obviously gone to Sunderland now. I just think, so for their first 5 games, I'm like, look, I'm going to give you 5 games, Adingra, see if you can get me some returns. For 5.5 million with the fixtures they have over the first 5, I mean, look at that. West Ham, Burnley, Brentford, Palace, Villa. It doesn't get much better than that. So I just think, give him 5 games, see how he does. Up front, Gyökeres, the main man coming in for Arsenal. He genuinely could be the difference in getting them to win the league this year. He's in for the United and then the Leeds fixture, and then I might hold him beyond that. And part of my thinking is, so Man United are home to Burnley in Gameweek 3. I want to captain a United player that week. And depending on who's doing well for United, I could go Gyökeres to Seshko if he's looking good, or I could go Saka to someone like Bruno Fernandes. So there's one transfer I'm booking in early. Other than that, I'm going to set and forget this team. And even that booked in transfer, it'll probably be like Saka to Fernandes, and then hopefully continue to roll some transfers beyond that. Now, Watkins is in there. His pre-season form has been unbelievable. I think you should be strongly considering him. They also have a brilliant fixture run. Villa are right up there in terms of fixture runs. I mean, look at that. Watkins is just a lock all day long for me. And then Bowen. Bowen was unreal last year. He was one of the most reliable assets. Him and Burmo in the midfield were just FPL legends last season. And as much as I think in Burmo's form is going to drop off a bit, having gone to United with all the players that are now going to share points around, and he'll be off penalties with Fernandes there. Bowen is still at West Ham, and Bowen is looking unreal pre-season. Wade Sunderland's a lovely entry point. Okay, the fixtures aren't incredible, but they're good enough. I mean, there's returns there for Bowen in all of those games. He's a 90-minute man. And although he's now as a striker, which might lose out on some of the sort of appeal of the points he could get, I just think that's not a reason to not go for the guy. If he was a midfielder, he would be a lock in everyone's team. And just because he's a striker, a lot of people are going off him. I think people are missing the trick with Bowen. He's going to be a lock for me, set and forget, week in, week out. Very happy to have Bowen. And he was actually a captain for me initially before I had this sort of punt to go for Verts. Also, a little bit of Salah coverage with the Verts captain. And I just think Sunderland, first game back in the Prem at home, the fans might make it difficult for West Ham, which is what put me off Bowen a little bit. But the vice captain's on Bowen. But the captaincy, yeah, on Verts for Bournemouth. And then the bench is good enough in terms of the Bravk is going to be a starter for Burnley, 4 mil, lovely value. Konza, because of that Villa fixture run, I just think I'll happily have him first bench every week. And the beauty of Konza is when Milenkovic plays Arsenal, and I think maybe Nuri plays Arsenal too, Konza has two nice fixtures, so I can just bring him in for the two games where they have difficult ones. King for Fulham's been starting the last three games for Fulham up front in pre-season at 4.5 mil for a midfielder. Lovely little enabler. And Estev's another nice enabler at 4 mil for Burnley. He seems to be nailed in that team. And that's the team I'm going for. I really like it. I hope some of you have taken inspiration from this particular team and some of the logic that's there. There's a lot of players that are doing well in pre-season. De Kuyper, Juve for West Ham, I'm very tempted by. Reinders in the midfield you could go for. Rodgers, if he's declared fit, would be good. Fernandes you could start with. Salah if you could afford him. Declan Rice I like as a little punt, as a sort of week in, week out Arsenal player that's on set pieces, has goal threat, may get the odd DEFCON. There's so many options you could look at this season in FPL, but that's the team I'm settling on. In terms of Bible FPL, most importantly, here's the team I've popped together. I think each week what I'll do is I'll do a very brief review of my main team when it comes to my week in, week out videos, and I'll focus largely on the Bible FPL with the preach and the talk and how the team's looking. But to go through the team really, so essentially, hopefully, as I go through this team, you'll see how it works. But basically, for Petrovic, so if Petrovic gets a penalty save, I can read from the book of Peter in relation to the save time. So let's say Petrovic made a penalty save in the, I don't know, 25th minute. I could read from the book of Peter, chapter 2, verse 5, in relation to goal time. And that's what I'd use as the inspiration for the talk in terms of the passage I look at. Sam Johnston for Wolves is going to represent books that John's written in the Bible. If he ends up getting ahead of Sarah in the pecking order, he's another option in my team. Lucas Perez, he'll represent the book of Luke and also the book of Acts, who Luke wrote in the Bible. Hopefully he gets some game time for Burnley. Mark Cucurella will represent the book of Mark if he returns. Daniel Munoz, so the book of Daniel in the Old Testament, I thought he's a fun player. I've tried to make the Bible FIFA team this year more competitive than usual, a bit like I did in the Women's Euros, with links that maybe are less obvious than usual. But I thought, okay, Daniel's still a book in the Old Testament. Daniel Munoz is a great player in FPL. It works. James Tarkowski nicely represents the Book of James, and with the DEFCON bonuses this year, nice opening fixture with Leeds. He could do well for us. Jeremy Frimpong, I really like this one. Jeremy, Book of Jeremiah in the Old Testament. He's going to represent that particular book in the Old Testament. Really attacking, nice defender for Liverpool. He provides some competitiveness for our team to get some points. Check this one out of Cole Palmer. We're going to go for Cold Palmer. So he's going to be our main Old Testament representative to cover the whole of the Old Testament in cold. And then Palmer, it's pretty close. He can also be one of the books that Paul wrote as a representative for them. He's such a good player, and to cover so many books of the Bible, I think he'll be really useful for us in terms of giving us an option to read from each week. Moses Caicedo, so any of the books that Moses wrote in the Old Testament, we can read from if Caicedo gets a return in said goal time. Dewsbury Hall is going to be Judesbury Hall for the Book of Jude. Justin Cliver I was going to use for JU, but he's injured, and I think Dewsbury Hall works quite nicely. It sounds kind of more flowy, and he at 5.5 million, he's going to be on set pieces for Everton, very cheap, good fixtures. He's a good option for us. Mateus Cunha's the next one for any book, for the Book of Matthew, so it just works nicely. We had him last year as well. Mateus Cunha, the Book of Matthew, lovely option there. Palinha, I had to put him in. I put him in recently. I thought another great pool option. Paul wrote many books in the New Testament to give us another pool option. And Paulinha is pretty close. I think it works nicely. Then up front, check this one out. John or Jean Philippe Mateta. So he could either be a John representative, John, or Matthew Mateta, Matthew. He covers us nicely. Haaland's probably our biggest clutch at straws, but again, I wanted to make this team competitive. We spent the whole budget. Erling Braut Haaland. So if you sort of do that backwards in terms of initials, you've got Haaland H. In fact, no, it's a bit of a juggle, but anyway, Erling E and Braut B, HEB for the Book of Hebrews. There aren't really any good Hebrews options, to be honest, in the Premier League. So I thought for his sort of initials of his name, if you take the first letter from all of them, you can spell out HEB for Hebrews. That kind of is the closest we're going to get in this team anyway, in terms of Hebrews options. And it gets us Haaland, and he represents a book of the Bible that we haven't covered for the rest of the team. Um, it also gives us a nice captain option for week one. Like I said, it makes the team competitive, but it also does have a link that I think is justifiable. I used that Haaland link back in the Club World Cup fancy. We're going to use it again in the Premier League fancy, and yeah, I think it's justifiable enough. And like I said, nice fixture home to Wolves. They've got a nice fixture run. He'll be a captain for us most weeks. I think that's going to be important for us to see if we can try and win the thing with a Bible FPL related team. Finally, Jared Bowen. This is a slight interesting link, but I looked at his name and I went, you know what? If you spell Bowen backwards, New for new, he can be a rogue New Testament option where we have a license to read from any book in the New Testament if Bowen scores or assists in a given goal time. That's the team. I actually really like it considering it's a Bible FPL team that's got some players that I've had to force in there a little bit. And for the first game week, and probably most game weeks, it's going to be look, Kukurea, Munoz, Tarkowski, Frimpong, so four at the back, Petrovic in goal, so it'll be Petrovic, these four at the back. Then in the midfield, we'll have a three, Palmer, Cunha, and Dewsbury Hall. These are lovely enablers, Caicedo and Paulinho on the bench, for DEFCON potential. And then three up front, Mateta, Haaland, Bowen. Most weeks, that'll probably be the team. Hopefully, I can roll some transfers and we can look to play some chips in the season where there's going to be there's other Bible related names, player names that we could use. Like I said, Justin Clivert, we could justify Reece James, Daniel James, just to name a few. There's many players we could sort of bring in for good fixture runs or target on a free hit to try and maximise points, even with Bible FPL related links. We might need a better Lucas option at some point, i.e. Lucas Bergval, someone like that. So or Luca Dean if he proves to be nailed in that Villa team, etc. So yeah, the next time you see me will be next week reviewing how this team's got on in game week one. We'll do a little Bible preach to bring some meaning to some of these videos. That's the heart behind these videos. I want to get points. I want to give you guys FPL advice, but I want to bring some Christian meaning to the videos to show there's kind of more meaning to life than FPL. And actually, you can therefore sort of hold FPL more loosely when you sort of take hold of no, there can be more meaning to life if I put my faith in Jesus, if I put my faith in God, I can know that yeah, He's my most important priority in life. And when it comes to things like FPL, I can enjoy them, but I can also hold them loosely, knowing they're not the be all and end all. Because yeah, there's bigger things in life than FPL. That's the heart behind the series, and I'll briefly review how my main team's got on as well each week, just for some comparison and any transfer plans, just to sort of give you some food for thought in terms of yeah, I suppose transfer plans are maybe thought about more thoroughly for a FPL focused mindset in terms of let's get the most points we can every week. Bible FPL, we're still going to try and get as many points as we can, but we're going to bring the Bible preachers with it. Yeah, as the main heart behind the series. So, yeah, hopefully this video hasn't been too long. I hope you found this helpful, interesting in terms of some initial food for thoughts. Please like and subscribe if you'd like to tune in for more videos with some FPL advice. But also, like I said, that deeper meaning to some of these videos with the Bible, Christian content. But yeah, for now, thanks for watching. I hope you have a really strong game week one to get off to a good start in Fantasy Premier League for this season. Otherwise, yeah, I'll look forward to catching you all on the next one.